But for those who wish us harm, I have a message for you. We will call you out.
What is the reason is not stoppable? What is the reason? Is the federal government or the CBSA or the law agencies are the reason? What is the reason we are not able to stop this? Because 30 cars in a day, 200 cars in one day in whole of the Ontario is too much. Why all the leaders, all the political people, they come in together and tackle this issue because it's a crime robbery. And our system, our judicial system, they release them on bail and they are again doing the same crime. What message you want to give to different communities of Ontario that government is standing with them and it will be tough, those who do these kind of graffitis on the...
Well, it's simple. Hate has no place here in our communities. And what the government did this week is to put those people who want to steal our cars on notice. We're putting you out of business.
On the religious places. When 13 premiers wrote to federal government, when mayors wrote to federal government, when yourself recently talked that it's a federal jurisdiction, they have to act. What is the single reason federal government is not acting?
The federal government has to step it up. They need to enact meaningful bail reform as soon as possible.
So will this grant, whatever government announced today, which will across all the religious places will be covered into this? ਅੱਜ Ontario ਦੇ Solicitor General ਔਰ Ontario ਦੇ Minister of Multiculturalism and Citizenship ਮਾਈਕਲ ਫੋਰਡ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਅਨਾਉਂਸਮੈਂਟ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਇੱਥੇ ਮਸਜਿਦ ਮੁਬਾਰਕ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਇੱਥੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਅਨਾਉਂਸਮੈਂਟ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਹੇਟ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਹੈ Ontario ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਉਹਦੇ ਤੇ 25 ਮਿਲੀਅਨ ਦੀ ਇਨਵੈਸਟਮੈਂਟ ਦੀ ਅਨਾਉਂਸਮੈਂਟ ਕੀਤੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਰਿਲੀਜੀਅਸ ਪਲੇਸਿਸ ਸੇਫ ਰਹਿਣ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਮਸਜਿਦਾਂ ਤੇ ਅਟੈਕਸ ਹੋਏ ਹੈ ਸਕਾਰਬਰੋ ਔਰ ਬਾਕੀ ਏਰੀਆ 'ਚ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਟੈਂਪਲਸ ਤੇ ਅਟੈਕ ਹੋਏ ਹੈ ਚਰਚਸ ਨੂੰ ਜਲਾਇਆ ਗਿਆ ਸੋ ਰਿਲੀਜੀਅਸ ਪਲੇਸਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਸੇਫ ਰੱਖਣ ਲਈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਅਨਾਉਂਸਮੈਂਟ ਦਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ 25 ਮਿਲੀਅਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅਨਾਉਂਸਮੈਂਟ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਕੀਤੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਆਪਣੇ ਰਿਲੀਜੀਅਸ ਪਲੇਸਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਸੇਫ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਜਾਊਗਾ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਹੋਰ ਰਿਸੋਰਸਿਸ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਜਾਊਗੇ ਇਸ ਇਨਵੈਸਟਮੈਂਟ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਰਿਪੋਰਟ ਇੱਥੇ
Ladies and gentlemen, Ontario's strength is in our diversity. We are stronger every day because of the dedication, resilience, and contributions of Ontarians from all backgrounds, cultures, and faiths. Unfortunately, however, the threat of incidents of hate and intolerance persists, not just here in Ontario, but around the world. It holds our communities and our province back from reaching our full potential. This will never be okay. Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, and all forms of hate have no place in Ontario. No Ontarian should live in fear for their safety because the color of their skin, how they choose to worship, or who they love. Since 2021, our government has invested over $100 million to combat hate and racism in all its forms. And we will continue to take action to build a stronger, safer, and more inclusive Ontario where people from all walks of life can succeed and create a better future for themselves and their families. That is why today we are announcing an additional investment of $25.5 million in the new Anti-Hate and Security Prevention Grant. This grant will help address the rise of hate incidents we have seen and help protect and support Ontario's religious and minority communities. This will help provide religious groups and Indigenous and cultural communities in all corners of our province with up to $10,000 in direct funding. Funding that can be used to enhance and implement security measures to make sure they have a safe and secure facility to practice their faith, showcase their culture, and express their beliefs. It will enable faith-based and cultural organizations to address their needs and direct funds where they believe it will have the greatest impact. Examples could be enhancing locks, installing security cameras, building upgrades, training staff, and hiring of security. The grant has been redesigned to cover the cost of additional prevention and capacity building measures and allows for more organizations to apply. This will help ensure more community spaces are better protected and better equipped to combat and prevent hate-motivated incidents, graffiti, vandalism, and other damages. This grant, along with the Solicitor General and Attorney General's work to keep criminals off our streets, will serve as a strong foundation as we continue to work with our friends at the Muslim Association of Canada, the National Council of Canadian Muslims, the Centre for Israel and Jewish Affairs, and the many other partners across all communities to roll out additional initiatives in the coming weeks, months, and years to fight hate, build a stronger, safer, and more inclusive province for all.
We are really blessed to live in a province where we can live together in peace and harmony and safely weave a thread of kindness and tolerance one to another. But for the vast number of people living in Ontario, this is absolutely the case. But for those who wish us harm, I have a message for you. We will call you out. In closing, I want to recall the promise of our great province of Ontario. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter who you love or how you worship or where you came from or how you got here. What matters is that we're here together. Our diversity is our greatest strength. Notre diversité est notre plus grande réussite. We've never had a premier and a government in my generation that's more concerned about our public safety and at the same time the optimism of our province and what lies ahead. So together we'll continue to do what is hard. We will achieve what is hard, and we will keep Ontario safe.
My question is to Honourable Solicitor General. We have seen the public safety and security here in Ontario is a serious concern. When you talk tough, everybody likes that. Everybody wants government should talk tough, and you are doing that. We have seen your posts. So now yesterday in Burlington, 30 cars were targeted in a single night. Government is investing in police forces, bringing more police officers. My question is, when 13 premiers wrote to federal government, when mayors wrote to federal government, when yourself recently talked that it's a federal jurisdiction, they have to act. What is the single reason federal government is not acting? Because 30 cars in a day, 200 cars in one day in whole of the Ontario is too much. Too much is happening here in Ontario, and you are in charge of the government now. Also, do we have here the rope, means the bail compliance units? If federal government is not acting, does Ontario have the rope, the bail, dedicated bail compliance units? If we have, then do we have officers in that? If we don't have officers, then why can't the provincial government can act and make bail compliance strict so that our criminals are behind the bar and not on the streets? Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you for your question, and really it highlights what our government has done recently with three major announcements. The first announcement about 10 days ago, where we announced that we wanted to reduce the barriers for people who want a career in public safety. We want to encourage people to go to the Ontario Police College, and that's why we removed the tuition. And that's why we're making it more accessible for everyone. We want to have 2,000 cadets graduate from the Ontario Police College starting next year, and that's up from about 1,400. And the second thing we announced this week, and you touched on it, is the substantial investment that we're making in bail enforcement and prosecutorial capabilities. This is very important. There's been no premier in our history that went to the other premiers and territorial leaders in 24 hours, got them to sign one letter, penning each signature on a letter calling on the federal government to act and enact, meaningful bail reform. I'm going to be meeting Minister Mendicino on Monday, and I can tell you, every time I speak to him, I say the same thing. This is very important to the security of Ontario and to Canada. And I said to him, you've got to do something at the border. We have to stop the illegal guns from coming into our country, and particularly Ontario. So when it comes to a full court press, Premier Ford is leading us forward, and I am 100% behind him, as is our caucus. There is nothing more important than our public safety, and we will get it done. We will continue to advocate each and every day to Minister Mendicino, to Minister Lametti, and to the federal government. We need bail reform now.
Thank you, Minister. Follow-up is for today's announcement. It's a very welcoming announcement what province is doing because the hate crime has risen in Canada, even in here in Ontario, and we have seen that graffiti attacks were on mosques, were on Hindu temples, and churches were burned also.
Yeah.
So, will this grant, whatever government announced today, which will across all the religious places, will be covered into this? Thank you.
Absolutely, yes. I think that's a great question, and it is. Yes, it's a very much all-inclusive grant to help support our religious, Indigenous communities and cultural communities of our province. It wasn't too long ago, for a number of months, I engaged on hundreds of consultations with community leaders. I know many of you here today participated in those consultations, and this is one of the things I heard loud and clear, that this grant, an enhanced grant, would help. But it goes beyond this grant. Will this grant fix the issues that we are seeing? No, not fully. But what it does, it moves the needle in the right direction. And that is on top of the over $100 million this government has invested to combat hate and racism in all its forms in just the last 2 years. And I assure you, our government under Premier Ford will leave no stone unturned in combating and tackling any instance of hate against any community here in the province of Ontario.
Great answer.
Sorry, I'm doing double duty here. Question. Members of the Muslim community have been calling on the province to expedite the Our London Family Act. Where does that stand?
Well, thank you very much for the question. Look, the Our London Family Act is one of many initiatives that have been put forward on tackling hate here in the province of Ontario. Let me be very clear, I will remain committed to working with everyone, opposition parties, stakeholders alike, in finding good, strong solutions to address hate here in the province of Ontario, and we will continue to work with everyone on that.
This is the last question. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking my question. I'm Rahil from Red FM Toronto. My question is for Minister Ford. Fight against hatred should start from an early age. What measures are you taking so that schools in Ontario should add multiculturalism in their curriculum?
That is an absolutely great question. Under the leadership of Minister Lecce, he has been working hand in hand with me in terms of combating hate and racism in all forms of society. And that is an all-the-government approach. It's not just me. It is many other ministers, and Minister Lecce specifically has been working hand in hand with me. I know he has rolled out a number of investments within schools across Ontario and the curriculum to address those issues. And I look forward to continuing to work with Minister Lecce and all members of the Ontario Parliament to make Ontario one of the greatest places in the world to live, work and play.
Minister Kuzner, welcome to Prime Asia, first of all.
It's great to be here, Nitin.
Minister, we have seen auto theft. Yesterday we got a call from Burlington that 30 vehicles, they were targeted in a single night, single day, high end. We have seen chop shops here. Government is investing in the police forces, in the auto theft you announced recently also. What is the reason is not stoppable? What is the reason? Is the federal government or the CBSA or the law agencies are the reason? What is the reason we are not able to stop this?
Well, Nitin, it's not fair that every 48 minutes somewhere in Ontario, a car is stolen. It's completely, disrespectful. And what the government did this week is to put those people who want to steal our cars on notice. We're putting you out of business. And I think this message is resonating throughout Ontario that our public safety matters, Nitin. When we have public safety, we have absolutely everything. And we are not going to stop. We are not going to stop. We must keep Ontario safe. That's what we're going to do.
Minister, we have seen you on social media. You are tough. Your words are tough. And we have seen that we requested our elected representative, either they are across the board, they are province or federal or the city level. We asked them the same things. They live in this city. Being a Solicitor General of Ontario, what is your message? Why all the leaders, all the political people, they come in together and tackle this issue because it's a crime robbery. And our system, our judicial system, they release them on bail and they are again doing the same crime.
Yeah, no, I want to thank you, Nitin, for the question again. We take our public safety very seriously. Listen, I have a very good rapport with Minister Mendicino. His riding is just south of mine. I speak to him on a regular basis. He also wants to make sure that everybody in Canada and Ontario are safe. But the federal government has to step it up. They need to enact meaningful bail reform as soon as possible. And I think they're hearing it. And I'll tell you why. Premier Ford, in a 24-hour period, was able to get all the provinces, all the territories together and to sign a letter to Prime Minister Trudeau calling on him to enact meaningful bail reform. Nitin, we're not going to stop.
So what is the reason federal government is not listening? Because it's going on for last couple of years, 2, 3, 4 years.
Well, firstly, they don't have a leader like we have. Premier Ford, I can tell you, cares so deeply about the safety and security of every Ontarian, and this is personal to him, and it's personal to me. I think the Prime Minister and Minister Mendicino and Minister Lametti are hearing the calls from all over the country. I think they will be moving forward with new pieces of legislation. I want to give them every opportunity to do just that.
Minister, last question about today's announcement. The hate crime, we have seen Hindu temples were targeted with the graffitis. We have seen mosques was targeted. We have seen the churches were burned here in Canada. It's a great initiative, great announcement of investment by Ontario government. What message you want to give to different communities of Ontario that government is standing with them and it will be tough those who do these kind of graffitis on the religious places?
Well, it's simple. Hate has no place here in our communities. It has no place. And everyone throughout Ontario has an equal responsibility of awareness to do what we will do. We will call it out. We want everybody, as I said before, Nitin, to live in their community safely. This is our inherent right. These are the values of who we are in Ontario. And again, I want to say that never before in my generation have we had a premier and a government that recognizes that when we have a safe community, we have absolutely everything. Hate is toxic to our democracy, and we will call it out.
Minister, welcome to Prime Asia.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great announcement today. We have seen that the crime has risen here in Ontario, and the hate crime which government is addressing today, the religious places, either it's a mosque, it's a Hindu temples, or it's a churches, they were being attacked. The graffiti written on those worship places is not tolerable. So good announcement. What you'll say on this?
No, absolutely, and it truly is unfortunate that we've seen that heightened incidents of hate happening, particularly over the last little while. But we have seen that not just here, but around the world, unfortunately. And today's announcement is a strong announcement, moving the needle forward in the province's effort and commitment to tackling hate and racism and discrimination in all its forms. And we're going to continue to work with our communities. My door always remains open to all of our communities in tackling this ongoing issue.
Minister, since you are a Minister of Citizenship and Multiculturalism, we have seen that international students come across the globe to Canada, and here in Ontario also they make their life, they make their future.
Absolutely.
The courses which they choose is a business administration which have no value in the future, and they don't get jobs easily by these courses. Why can't Ontario be innovative and make a mandatory, because we have a tradespeople shortage? If those international students, big labor force, if they can select a course related to the shortage of the labor criteria here, the technical jobs, and can't Ontario make that a compulsory or mandatory course for them?
Well, look, I think that's a great question. Our government's commitment to growing this skilled trades is steadfast. Under the leadership of Minister McNaughton, he has been working around the clock on strengthening the skilled trades. Minister Dunlop, the Minister of Colleges and Universities, has been strengthening skilled trades education. And You know, the one thing we are very lucky to have is such a strong employment market here in Ontario, where when people from all walks of life come here, they have access to a job. And we're continuing to work to grow that and to make sure, particularly to your question, that people have the education and the ability to fill those jobs.
Today we welcome Mr. Michael Ford and his team to make a new announcement for the safety and security of the faith communities and also the cultural communities in the province of Ontario. It's a good initiative on behalf of the government of Ontario, and we welcome that.
Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal, Assalamu Alaikum. My name's Graham McGregor. I'm the MPP for Brampton North. I was happy to be joined here today at the Mubarak Mosque by Ministers Michael Kerzner, Michael Ford, Charmaine Williams, and my big brother Amarjot Sandhu to announce a renewing of our anti-hate grant over $25 million to fight hatred in Ontario. Doesn't matter where you come from, who you love, how you choose to worship God. Everyone belongs here. Everyone deserves to feel safe. Today's announcement is going to help them do just that. Couldn't be prouder about it.
तो ਅੱਜ ਆਪਾਂ ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇੰਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਆਫ ਮਲਟੀਕਲਚਰਿਜ਼ਮ ਤੇ ਸਿਟੀਜ਼ਨਸ਼ਿਪ ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਦੀ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸੋਲਿਸਿਟਰ ਜਨਰਲ ਆਪਣੇ ਇੰਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਬਹੁਤ ਇੱਕ ਐਕਸਾਈਟਿੰਗ ਅਨਾਉਂਸਮੈਂਟ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਜੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਆ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇੰਟਾਰੀਓ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਜੀ ਵਰਲਡ ਦਾ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਬੈਸਟ ਸੂਬਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਹਿ ਲਓ ਕਿ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਵਧੀਆ ਆਪਾਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਰੇਸ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਇੱਥੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇੰਟਾਰੀਓ ਤੋਂ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟ ਕੰਟਰੀਜ਼ ਤੋਂ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟ ਬੈਕਗਰਾਊਂਡ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟ ਫੇਥ ਤੋਂ ਲੋਕ ਇੱਥੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਸੋ ਸਾਡੀ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਦਾ ਮੰਨਣਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਇੰਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਬਹੁਤ ਇੱਥੇ ਵਾਈਬਰੈਂਟ ਤੇ ਡਾਈਵਰਸ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀਜ਼ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਵਾ ਸੋ ਰੇਸਿਜ਼ਮ ਹੇਟ ਤੇ ਡਿਸਕ੍ਰਿਮੀਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਜੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਸੂਰਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਟੋਲਰੇਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਊਗੀ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ $15 ਮਿਲੀਅਨ ਦੀ ਗ੍ਰਾਂਟ ਅਨਾਉਂਸ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਫੇਥ ਬੇਸਡ ਆਰਗੇਨਾਈਜੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਕਲਚਰਲ ਬੇਸਡ ਆਰਗੇਨਾਈਜੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਪ ਟੂ $10,000 ਜਿਹੜਾ ਜੀ ਉਹ ਗ੍ਰਾਂਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਿਕਿਉਰਿਟੀ ਕੈਮਰਾਸ ਚਾਹੇ ਪਰਸਨਲ ਸਿਕਿਉਰਿਟੀ ਪਰਸਨਲਸ ਇੱਥੇ ਰੱਖਣੇ ਆ ਚਾਹੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਟਾਫ ਨੂੰ ਟ੍ਰੇਨ ਕਰਨਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਸੋ ਉਹਦੀ ਐਕਸਟੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ $25 ਮਿਲੀਅਨ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਜੀ ਹੋਰ ਅਨਾਉਂਸ ਕੀਤਾ ਅੱਜ ਕਿ $25 ਮਿਲੀਅਨ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਆਰਗੇਨਾਈਜੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਕਲਚਰਲ ਬੇਸਡ ਫੇਥ ਬੇਸਡ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਗ੍ਰਾਂਟ 'ਚ ਅਪਲਾਈ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੀਆਂ ਵਾ ਅਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਚਾਹੇ ਮੌਸਕ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਆਪਾਂ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਸਮੇਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਾਫੀ ਵੈਂਡਲਿਜ਼ਮ ਚਾਹੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਆ ਮੰਦਿਰ ਆ ਮੌਸਕ ਆ ਚਰਚਿਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਈ ਆ ਸੋ ਆਈ ਥਿੰਕ ਇਹ ਗ੍ਰਾਂਟ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਜੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਇੱਕ ਯੂਜ਼ਫੁਲ ਰਿਸੋਰਸ ਹੋਊਗੀ ਕਿ ਆਪਣੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਮੰਦਿਰ ਆ ਚਰਚਿਸ ਆ ਮੌਸਕ ਆ ਇੱਥੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਸਿਕਿਉਰਿਟੀ ਕੈਮਰਾਜ਼ ਇੰਸਟਾਲ ਕਰ ਸਕਣ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਿਕਿਉਰਿਟੀ ਪਰਸਨਲ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਰੱਖ ਸਕਣ ਅਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਦੀ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਟਾਫ ਨੂੰ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਾਈਡ ਕਰ ਸਕਣ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੇਟ ਡਿਸਕ੍ਰਿਮੀਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਜਾਂ ਰੇਸਿਜ਼ਮ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਖਤਮ ਕਰ ਸਕੀਏ ਸੋ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਵਧੀਆ ਅਨਾਉਂਸਮੈਂਟ ਮੈਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਅੰਟਾਰੀਓ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਨੂੰ ਵਧਾਈ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਡਗਫੋਰਡ ਦਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਕਿ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਹੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਪਹਿਲ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਅੰਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੇਟ ਆ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਦੀ ਟੋਲਰੇਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ